All right. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Haki Ami here, the Success Scholar. Thank you for tuning in, listening in. It's a beautiful day, and I want to thank you all for enduring and listening in to our promotional video for an upcoming documentary that I have the honor and pleasure of being in. It's a 23rd anniversary documentary on the Million Man March. So that's going to be coming up here. That's the trailer that was released on October the 16th. And so, we as black men have to continue to keep the work up and continue to move forward. But I have a discussion here today, but I want to share first. Let me thank my guests from last week. We had Sister Charlene Day and Darius Stanton. We did a book review on April Ryan's book, Under Fire. So just want to thank both of those for coming up. And the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus weekend will be coming up here where April Ryan will be the keynote speaker. And she's from Baltimore, so we just got to show her some love, some Baltimore love for taking up that fight at the White House. So, and she's from Morgan State, so where my younger sister just graduated. But I have a guest in the studio today, and we know that political season is just about over, and I am ready for it to be over so that I can, just get really into the financial assessments and time management of what I need to do. And I have the pleasure of introducing a young sister who has been doing some amazing, phenomenal things entrepreneurially, particularly in the area of real estate. But she has, she spans entrepreneurial spheres and spaces. And so she's from New York, and I know she happened to be a vegan, so that's always a good thing. Have a happy vegan from New York, so she knows she got her hustle mindset. She's conscious. Again, she's here with her African, representative. We didn't hook this up. I got my kid on today. Of course, we African all the time, but but I have Sister Lola Thompson, aka Boundless Lola, right? Yeah. Let me move that mic right a little close to you, but you good. But so share a little bit. So first, let me ask about the name, Boundless Lola. Okay. Let's just open that up.
Okay. So probably about 4 years ago, I was working with a public relations firm, and we were trying to come up with my new brand.
Okay.
What my brand was going to be. And as we sat and looked at everything, he said, "I think you're boundless," and I said, "Wow. I think you're right." Right. It kind of stuck, and it did fit where I was moving into, the type of space I was moving into at that moment, and definitely where I am now. Limitless.
Yes. That's a good way to be. You saw the brother who's the producer here. He was talking outside to a young man and sharing with the young man to think big.
That's right.
So you started thinking big. You put a brand on yourself. That's like, right. Look, this is I have no limits. Sky's the limit. So
no limitation.
Right. So share, just open up a little bit about yourself. So you're from New York, born and raised, I'm assuming.
Yep, and I'm gonna correct you because when you're from Brooklyn, you have to specifically say you're from Brooklyn. Right? So yeah, I'm from New York, but I am from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Born and raised East Flatbush, Crown Heights. Woo!
Oh, Flatbush. Okay.
Yeah, so,
all right.
I've been down here for a long time. I've been down here for about 30 years. So truly, people say my Brooklyn card has been revoked.
Okay.
I don't happen to agree with that, but been down here. Started off my real estate life. As a real estate agent in New York at the age of 19.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's been 30 years.
So you went straight from high school directly to real estate?
Well, I went straight from high school, then I went to college for a little while. There was no money that I could find to be made at college. So I left. I wish I had stayed at times. I did. I left. Okay, and then I went and got my real estate license. And I also started in network marketing. So my 18th year, I started in network marketing, Amway, and in real estate.
That's awesome. Interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, I figured that's some awesome training. I found out about Amway when I was in the Navy. I was around 22 years old, and I just want to share this story because it's just a testimony knowing that when you're young, sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And I just encourage people, you got to watch who you listen to, right?
You better know that's right.
Yeah. So I was in the Navy, and there was an Amway guy, a black guy. He was in the Navy too. He had more years of service than me, and he talked to me about Amway, and I probably thought he was weird at that time. I mean, I was educating myself. Yeah. And it's interesting. I went and told my brother, who was in the Navy for, I guess, 5 or 6 years, and he was like, man, I know what they said. Didn't they paint pictures of cars that had cars? Let me tell you what they do. They sat you down and they did this, and here I am, young, you just get inflated.
Yep.
And I didn't learn till years later, like when you listen to broke people or individuals who don't have like life experiences.
Broke people cannot tell you how to be rich.
All right. And so, early on, I just listened to him because he's my older brother. But it wasn't necessarily even about the money, but just the network and the training that I could have got at that early age.
Yeah, that does that for you. Amway is, to me, the original OG of network marketing. That and Shackley, right? Right. Yes. Yeah, my parents were in Amway, so and my mom corrected me. I thought that they had gotten in when I was in middle school, but my mother reminded me that they had gotten in Amway when I was in elementary school. So they had put the pictures of the cars up on the television in the house, and within probably a couple of years, they had purchased a brand new car and a house.
Okay. So
no, they were. I think they were rubies.
Really?
Or emeralds in Amway. So they did really well.
Okay.
So I got it honest.
Yeah. Right.
I got it.
Well, hey, that's the training that you need.
No, it does. It trains you for business for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. So that's a blessing. But also, so you created Black Girls Invest.
Well, Black Girl Investor.
Black Girl Investor.
And Black Girl Investor is a group of women. I try to explain to people that Black Girl Investor doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. So if you are an investor in black women, then you are what? A Black Girl Investor. Right.
Right.
But I do refer to myself as Boundless Lola, the Black Girl Investor. My experience as an investor has been unique in that when I started 13 years ago as an investor, there weren't a lot of people who looked like me, who were women doing the business, and the prejudice or the discrimination that I have experienced, just seemingly nothing, but then you get it, contractors assuming you don't know what you know about things, loan officers assuming you don't understand amortization and things, just really basic things because you're a woman, and then getting on the phone sometimes even with people who want to sell and having them assume that you're on the phone on somebody else's behalf.
Oh, right.
You can't be asking. You can't be. A guy told us one day. I had a student on the phone because I've been teaching now for 12 years, and we were talking, and he said, "You girls are really sweet. Who are you working with?" It's like, what? Oh, well, we're working for me. This is my company. You know what I'm saying? So your Black Girl Investor is about real estate and it's about investing, but it's also about us investing in ourselves as women, in our families, in our communities, in our health, in our wealth, and in our lives overall.
Beautiful. Yeah, so let's open with just this question. So let's share just what are some of the biggest, I would say, myths or falsehoods about investing that most people believe.
It's funny, somebody contacted me yesterday online. People always send me messages and ask me about investing and things like that. And he was just, what did he ask me? Oh, he said, well, are you having much luck with this thing? Because he hadn't really done any research on me before he reached out to me.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, like hundreds of deals. Like, I think so. I think that's a little bit of luck that I've had. And he was like, oh, really? He's like, man, if I'd been in the business for as long as you, I'd be on an island somewhere with a yacht and all this kind of stuff. I was like, bro, I don't know anybody who's been in the business for the amount of time as me who's doing that. We're all hustling. So I think that the myth that late night TV and the gurus.
Cotton sheets.
I'm trying not to say anybody's names.
Right. Okay.
But the myths that they share with people, or that they give people the impression of, really end up stealing their dreams, because when people don't turn around and become millionaires in a couple of months, then they think the business doesn't work.
Right.
So I would say one of the biggest myths is that you're going to start off and tomorrow you're going to be making millions. It doesn't work like that.
Yes.
It's not get rich quick.
Right. Well, and this is where the whole no money down philosophy, where, and I've read some of these books and I've been to some of the workshops, and, I mean, I always say it depends who you are.
Yep.
Like your progress, your responses, or your development, based upon your network. Who are you? Who do you know? I mean, who likes you? Who do you like? Right? So things can be different for different people.
And money down is real. That's very real. You just have to know how to find other people's money.
Right.
You have to know how to qualify for money on your own. Maybe not through your own personal social security number, but through a business EIN. You have to know how to develop business credit. So there are different things that you learn through being in this business, that will enable you to be able to purchase with no money down. That's very real. I was talking to a partner of ours. We do a meetup, right? Every turn we do Turnkey DMV is our meetup group.
Turnkey DMV,
yeah, and we meet every fourth Wednesday in Columbia, Maryland, at the Sheraton.
DMV.
Turnkey DMV. You can find us on Facebook, Turnkey DMV.
Okay.
And we meet every fourth Wednesday. And one of the gentlemen was telling this story about how this guy started off and did a creative financing strategy, and he was able to get 2 lots, and then take those 2 lots and parlay that into 4 lots, and then take those 4 lots and parlay that into a development. And before it was all said and done, he made like $35 million and had no money in the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
So things are possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Possible.
So location still.
Location.
Still,
but what you said is key. And people say it's who you know. I think it's different. I think it's who knows you. If you're walking in the room and you got to introduce yourself to everybody and nobody knows who you are, you might need to kind of brush up your brand a little bit. Open some eyes about who you are. I had a mentor, Kwame Oduro, who teaches me all the time, because he's a marketing genius, that the key to it is making sure that you're known. Because when you're known, people do what? They come to you.
Right.
You don't have to run after them. And so in this business, networking and relationships are absolutely everything. Relationships are everything in this business. It's the difference between you being able to purchase something with no money down and not being able to purchase it at all.
Right. Your credibility.
Right. I know a young woman who she was started off in the business, and she's very popular in the area now. And she didn't have any money, and she met a multimillionaire who said, "You know what? I believe in you. I love your hustle." Gave her $5 million. That's how she started off.
Wow.
To invest.
Wow.
So I mean, it can be done. But they gotta like you. They gotta know you, and they gotta trust you.
And believe your skill, and I think things take time to learn. You just can't be like, oh, I just was working this job somewhere, and I think I'm just gonna watch this or read this book.
No, sir.
And I'm gonna jump in there and make it happen.
No,
right.
No.
So sometimes your skill sets, developing some skill sets.
And what the biggest skill set is, though? It's having the wherewithal and the mindset to understand that you need to go to somebody to teach you what it is that you want to learn how to do. When we want to learn how to do great things, we got to go to great people who've done those great things.
Right.
You talk about your brother and ask him about Amway. He didn't know, right? He told you what he knew. He didn't know. So because he didn't know, he told you what he had knowledge of. So when you're trying to do something great, including real estate investing, you've got to ask the people and go to the people who know how to teach you those things. You can't ask somebody who's never done a deal how to do a deal. And you can't get it from a book, because this is about really hands-on.
Right.
The people, I had a girlfriend who came here from Canada. I'm not going to say your name, so don't get upset. And she said to me, "Oh, girl, I can do it. It's no big deal. I can do it. And I was like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, I can do it." She said, I watched all these videos and I read all these books. About 3 months into it, she was like, "I don't know what happened. It's not working." And it's because you can't learn this business like that. I don't believe you can.
Right. Some things just take time and experience for you to reflect and be able to think about what you've experienced, what you've heard from different people, being in certain rooms, that you
right.
you hear something and you're like, I know I won't do that, you know.
That's right.
Right?
That's
So
right.
and like you said, the mentoring, the having the right mentors to guide you through the process of, the plan, doing, reviewing, the errors.
And the people around you.
Right.
So not even just the mentors. You have to watch. You have a friend who's in huge in legal shield, and he always says, watch who and what you let into your mind. Because it's the people you surround yourself by. If you're surrounding yourself by a bunch of people who absolutely believe that it can't be done, there's no reason for you to believe that it can't be done.
Right.
Because that's being mentored too, right?
Right.
You can be mentored lots of different ways. You can be mentored through somebody who's giving you positive information.
Yes.
You can also be mentored through those giving you negative information and the wrong information. That's when you mess up.
Agreed. Wow. Yeah. So what would you say the most important thing to learn about investing?
I would say that the most important thing to learn is that it takes time, and that it is a process, and that you have to be committed to learning that process. I've sat down with so many students. I've taught well over 500 students now on a one-on-one basis.
Y'all hear that? 500, like not one, not 50. 500 students.
It's been a long time. 500 students, well over 500 students on a one-on-one basis, and literally thousands of people through webinars and seminars and trainings and things like that. And it always amazes me when people sit down with me and they get discouraged because they see they have to do work. You gotta work. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you think you didn't have to work? If this business was truly easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
I actually used to own the URL Real Estate is Easy, and I shut it down.
Oh, really?
I said, that's not true. I can't tell people that anymore. It's simple if you follow the process, but it's not always easy. It can be really complex. That's why you need somebody to guide you.
Right. Yes, good point. So we said skill set, mindsets, and learning processes. Now, I'm going off script, but in the technologically advanced world of online marketing, and has that simplified various processes and building like systems and things like that?
Absolutely.
It's not the old days where everybody
belly,
and the signs outside. I mean, do people still do signs?
Oh yeah,
they work.
Some yesterday.
They work. Right.
The signs work. The signs definitely work. Yes. They do. We ain't gonna shut the signs down. Okay. Now a lot of people tell you not to do the signs, but I teach my students to do things like driving for dollars, which is driving neighborhoods looking for distressed properties.
Right.
I teach them to put signs out because everybody doesn't have a multi-$10,000 budget to be able to do that. So in this business, either you're going to spend the money, either you're going to spend the time, or you're going to spend the money.
Absolutely.
So it's one of the two.
Time or the money.
Time or the money. One of the two. You got to pick.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes you don't have to pick because you don't have a choice. But it's the time or the money.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, that's interesting in terms of the systems and using these different. Now some people I went to some workshops years ago where there was a discussion on your real estate license. So it was a little bit easier for you. Would you say? I mean, I guess having access to the MLS.
No, that's a great question.
Yeah,
I mean, having your real estate license can hinder you sometimes as an investor.
Really? Speak on that.
Because being an agent, you are bound to certain rules, regulations, the state board, the county board, your broker. There's certain things that you are bound to that you cannot do as an agent that us independent investors can. I would get my license again though, because the best investor is one who has been an agent. If they can open up their mindset. And the best, you know what I'm saying? And the best agent is the one who hasn't been an investor. Matter of fact, one of my previous students, George Bryant of Exit Community, he just opened up a brokerage. And George used to be an investor. He learned from my partner, Hayward Barber, and I.
So he was an investor first?
Yep.
Okay.
He was working for Metro, and he came to us, and we taught him how to invest in this business. And he took that, and for years he continued to invest. But then he took that and parlayed that into a real estate agent. But that because the skill set that he brought to that, because of, as an investor, you have to find grassroots ways lots of times of finding listings and finding deals. And because he already had that, when he married it with being an agent, it just took him right out of the stratosphere. Very, very successful.
Yes. So in terms of, if people were saying if they wanted to start, how do you share, that? Do you tell people, start, being a runner or bird dog?
Oh, bird dogger?
Right, for people, or start, wholesaling, or,
all of that.
Right,
so
right.
Being a bird dogger is a great thing. It's a very inexpensive way to get started. What I'm not happy with is people teach folks how to be bird doggers, and they forget to still teach them how to understand the business.
Just that's it. Like
you still need to understand the business. Being a bird dogger doesn't mean you can be ignorant to how much the house is supposed to cost, the ARV. You still need to know the Mayo formula to deduce whether or not it is a deal. Because if you're a great bird dogger, then I shouldn't have to do all that much work.
Right. Okay.
I shouldn't have to do that much work if you're a great bird dogger. If you're not a great bird dogger and you're kind of lazy, don't get mad at me, y'all. But if you're kind of lazy, then you're not of that much value to me.
Right.
And then there's co-wholesale.
Because you can do it yourself.
You can do. If I got to spend all the time looking up everything, then I could have just done it myself. So I'm not going to pay you to do it. Right. Then there's co-wholesaling. Right. And so co-wholesaling. So co-wholesaling is when someone has taken a property and put it under contract, a wholesaler.
Right.
And then you say, hey, you know what? I think I have some buyers, or can I market that property for you? And then you help them sell that property.
Right.
So once the property is sold, typically that co-wholesaler, that person who put the property in the contract in the first place, will share their fee with you. So let me explain something real quick what wholesaling is.
Sure.
So wholesaling is putting a property under contract, right? And then taking that contract and selling it to a landlord, somebody who wants to landlord, rehab, or develop. And then you take a fee. So let's say, for instance, as a wholesaler, you get a property under contract for $10,000, and you know that property's value is, let's say, well over $70,000 or $80,000 after it's fixed up. You might be able to add a $5,000 or $10,000 wholesale fee in there for yourself. That is paid in the middle of that transaction. So it's the buyer who knows that they have to pay you that fee. The seller's getting whatever they negotiated. But the buyer is going to pay you that difference. And it can be anywhere from $2,500. I know somebody who made a $250,000 wholesale fee.
Wow. Wow. See, and some people probably thinking that, just doing little things like that. I mean, because real estate is infinite, and when I went to some of the workshops and they were talking about, you can wholesale hotels, and
you can
it's
not
just
not wholesaling jets to the Saudis.
Wow.
Okay.
Y'all hear that, everybody?
He was wholesaling jets to the Saudis.
Wow.
A brother. Yes, indeed. Matter of fact, I saw him on Instagram, and I reached out and I said, tell me how you guys started doing that. And he said it was an accident. He said he had come across one, he saw someone was selling it, and he decided to market to see whether or not he could find somebody to buy it. And he found somebody, and he added a little fee on there for himself. By little, I mean like $67,000. And he walked away with that, just for marketing that jet.
Wow.
So that's how he ended up doing that.
Wow.
You can wholesale a cup, a phone, a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And that's a good point. See, and that's where, sometimes people may make, real estate difficult, or, they make it like outside of what they normally see, what you see at a Walmart, what you see everywhere else. But it's just different types of paperwork and different legalities.
It's common sense. And you can take it and apply it to absolutely anything else that you do. When you're a wholesaler, when you're doing real estate, you're not going to buy a pair of shoes that that you don't like, that are overpriced, right? So kind of some of the same things bode when it comes to real estate and real estate investing. A lot of it is common sense. A lot of it is skill and technical things. You mentioned the technical part when it comes to, tools and stuff. So there are lots of different tools now that we use that can have automated our business. But a great deal of us still like a lot of the belly-to-belly stuff that we do. I still like to go sit down with a seller, and look them in the eyeballs and, really have them know who I am. I still like to do that.
Yeah. Nothing like, keeping it one-on-one.
That's
right. So, and I'm going to get to some of the other questions about your next projects, but some time ago I was reading a report, and I read Warren Buffett's book some years ago. I don't know if it was the Warren Buffett's Way or something, but I read some report where he was buying up the trailer parks in America. Like, what's going on? I mean, so, and then the small houses now starting. What are some of the current trends and shifts that are taking place?
I mean,
these
trailer parks are hot.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, they really
that's
are. And you say that Warren
right.
Buffett. What people don't realize is that they see us. One of the things that has shifted the market is that larger companies and hedge funds are now purchasing single-family homes, and they're purchasing.
Okay.
You have some mortgage companies now who are actually keeping their foreclosed properties and renting them out. So where there used to be inventory that we automatically assumed would always be there, it's not necessarily the case anymore. Because you're competing with hedge funds and competing with Warren Buffett, because he's still buying up single family homes. You know, so that is something that people don't realize, but it definitely has changed the market. There's an area here called Temple Hills in Maryland.
Yeah,
Temple Hills, I had gone probably about 2 years ago to look, and I lived in that area when I first moved here, so I was right off of Middleton Lane, off of Old Branch Avenue, and I was like, man, what's going on? Like, all these houses were abandoned. And they were left, and I was like, oh, you know, what's going on? And I started doing my homework. Well, they were building up things over there, but who was purchasing the properties were large companies. So when I went to try to access the homeowner, there was no homeowner. There were development companies that were purchasing those houses.
Wow.
Probably about 10 of them on Middleton Lane.
And
right
keeping them empty.
Yep.
Okay, because they are going to
do a huge development. They're going to knock down those houses, and then they're going to develop the area, and they're going to put up brand new homes.
Right. So, yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad I thought about that, you know, with Warren Buffett and, you know, how that's happening now. And I read this some years ago. A lot of people think that there's government money, you know, that's out here for real estate. And I'm finding that there could be some, you know, it's reasonably understood that, you know, there are low income housing that government and, you know, developers tend to not necessarily want to invest in the most, if they can avoid it, low income housing. So are there, and have you operated in, for instance, in Baltimore, you know, are there, you know, opportunities still? Yeah, still in Baltimore.
There's still government money. You know, they're doing the vacancy to values in Baltimore City. Right. Where you can pick up properties. I mean, you can pick up properties in Baltimore for sometimes as little as $5,000.
Yeah.
And they're not, everybody assumes, and I think the rhetoric is put out there so that people won't run and grab it. Is that, oh, it's just junk, it's just bad neighborhoods. Yeah. That isn't true. I mean, some of it is bad neighborhoods, but all of it's not bad neighborhoods. Right. Because I've seen vacancy values in Patterson Park.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've seen vacancy values in lots of different areas, right up Hartford Road over by the Clifton Park Golf Course. I've seen vacancy values all over the place, but you have to know. See, in Baltimore City, you have to research your block. You have to research your neighborhood. You have to make sure that you're checking to see what development is coming to that neighborhood. Because if you don't know, you will buy a box of bricks, right? And you will get stuck. I tell people right before I met my first mentor in real estate investing, my mom and I were running around Baltimore City, right? We were looking for a house. We go, oh, that's a house. You know, we're from New York. So we're like, $35,000.
Yeah, right.
That's no money, you know.
A lot of investors are. They definitely coming from New York.
If we had bought that $35,000 house, we would have had a piece of junk.
Really.
It had granite countertops, Brazilian hardwood floors. It had a rooftop deck, but it was on a block that you couldn't pay anybody to live on. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And people sometimes don't look at stuff like that. Like, I have family members that they don't look like at the comps and what you put into your house, but yeah,
because you can over improve a property.
Yes,
and that person had, even though it was $35,000, but they had over improved. That probably on that block was still worth about $15,000, and they had put about $40,000 worth of work in it. That's when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, right.
That's how you get got.
And there are a lot of just basic homeowners that are doing that. Like,
people don't research their neighborhoods.
Yeah, and that's where I think education of regular homeowners, you know, are, you know, and unfortunately financial education is not necessarily talked about in terms of your house and how to maximize it. It's not a conversation because people are just content.
Well, you know, you say that, and that's a great point, because what we've been talking to people about lately, so many people, when the market crashed in 2008, lost their homes, right? They lost their properties because imagine, I know actually a couple, they're not my Facebook friends, so I can tell it. So a couple that they own a 10,000 square foot house, and they just lost that house.
Wow.
The whole basement was actually a finished, so okay, if it's 10,000 square feet, each level is over 3,000 square feet. So the basement was a finished 3,200 square foot apartment. And they lost their house. Why would you lose your house? Because you need to rent that space out.
Right.
See, one of the things that we're doing as a team with Turnkey DMV is showing people absolutely how they can take the property that they live in and take it and convert it into an income-producing vehicle for themselves.
Right.
There's no reason for you to lose your home if you have empty bedrooms in your house. You got Airbnb, right?
Right.
You got students.
Yeah.
You got exchange students. You know, if you have a basement that you can have its own kitchen or whatever, you can rent that out. But we're always so embarrassed to tell people what we're going through.
Yeah, that's it.
And we're embarrassed that we didn't know better. And then we don't want people in our houses because we're fearful. And so I would say, you asked me one of the most important things. One of the most important things in business, I teach real estate investing, but I'm most passionate about teaching just entrepreneurship, is that we stay captivated by fear. We let fear keep us from doing things that will assist us. I have a girlfriend right now who's going through some changes with the bank, and she won't open up the envelopes that come to our house. You scared, but you if you don't step into it, you're definitely gonna lose it. And so I say to all of the people out there who are dealing with foreclosure situations or pre-foreclosure situations, don't be afraid, be informed. Raise your hand, make a phone call, ask somebody. Send me a message. We're on Facebook, so send me a message at Boundless Lola and ask me, what can I do? This is my situation. And I don't have a problem with telling you, but you have to open up your mouth and raise your hand and say that you need help. Or people have to know you need help in order to give you help.
Well, let me segue into this. I'm going to talk about Michael Roberts real fast. I almost forgot here. But for those who may not know, Mike Roberts, CEO, I'll just kind of read his bio. It goes very good with this, but you can watch this clip. I wish I would have had it, but the Billionaire Brothers, the Roberts Brothers, but it's a CNN clip that they do. But I'll just read his bio real fast. And he was actually at Morgan State maybe 2 months ago. There was a gala for one of the community organizations, and they're beginning to do some development in the east side of Baltimore, I believe. But Mike Roberts, visionary, futurist, modern-day capitalist, has successfully built his St. Louis-based The Roberts Company into a multi-million-dollar, multi-dimensional international enterprise consisting of real estate development, television broadcasting, wireless communications, broadcast towers, aviation, I didn't even know that, hotel and theater ownership, and management consulting. He has been featured in numerous newspapers, articles, and various magazines such as Forbes, Success, Business Week, Commerce, and Black Enterprises. So it says a few other things, but this is his book, Action Has No Season. So what Sister Lola is talking about is taking action. But I'll just say what I know about him is his father was a postal worker for 37 years. Now, my father was a postal worker for 39 years. Now, I know some people got jokes like, well, where's your billions, brother? But, I'm still working on it, brothers and sisters.
It's on its way.
It's all good. But also, he and I are both in this film, Black Friday Part 2. So I can claim at least that I'm in a film with a black billionaire. So that's a start. So that you kind of start where you are, finish where you take your mind to. So that's a blessing. So, and that's a good segue, into some of your projects that you have coming up, because and we tend to dine at the same cuisines in Baltimore. So I saw this young lady a few weeks ago. We had a good conversation.
Vegans that eat together, tape shows together.
right. And you were sharing, you working on some other projects. You've always had interests in entrepreneurship in general. So what I just don't want to put you in a
Oh,
real
no,
estate
no,
box.
I appreciate that.
Right,
I appreciate
right.
that. I mean, a lot of it is real estate related.
You got to always think about that.
Yeah,
It's
a lot
a
of it is real
cornerstone,
estate.
right?
Well, I mean, and at my age, I'm young.
Yeah.
But at my young age,
right.
it just makes sense to continue or to expand in a space that you're already familiar and skilled and experienced in. So I do some other things. I'm a writer, so I have some books that we're coming out with. The RUN principle, and it's a principle that I've taught my students all these years. And RUN stands for rapport, understanding, and negotiating appropriately. And so we'll be doing the RUN principle. I'll be doing my book coming out in the next 60 days, the RUN principle, and then Black Girl Investor. And we're also working on a documentary project.
Oh, right.
Yeah, when it comes to real estate investing, I can't tell too much about it. If I tell, they'll have to kill me. So I won't tell too much about it. But we are working on that, and I am kind of reaching out to folks on Facebook to say, if you've been in a real estate investment situation where you've trying to do a rehab, you haven't had the best success, you haven't had the best experience, we're interested in talking to people so we can kind of help you rebirth that interest and rebirth that effort and work with you to do something great in the JV realm, which is joint venturing, which is another way to do real estate without money.
Yeah.
If you have great credit and the other person has money, then they can use your credit.
Right.
Or if you have the property that you found and they have money and they couldn't find the property, then your equity is your ability to find the property.
It's in the deal, right? It's in the deal.
It's in the deal. It's in the deal.
All options are open as long as the deal makes sense, right?
As long as the deal makes sense.
Right.
The last thing that we're doing is Turnkey DMV is we're teaching people how to build wealth now. When you purchase turnkey properties, turnkey simply means, everybody, that when you buy it, the next month you're profiting.
Okay.
Because we put a renter in that property for you. The property's been rehabbed. It has new HVAC, new electrical system, new plumbing. We usually put an extra bedroom and bathroom in the basement so that you can maximize that space. And we even put a renter from one of 13 different housing programs that are available in Baltimore City. And so we're working with a gentleman named Al Davis, and my business partners are Lacey McCollum.
Shout out to Lacey.
Lacey McCollum and
I met him a few times. What's up, Lacey?
And Al Davis, we call him the Turnkey King, and he's the gentleman that we do those. He's a beast when it comes to doing turnkey properties. He just does such an excellent job. So we're just going around the area, and then hopefully soon around the country. Baltimore City has a unique situation and a unique stew, if you will, because of the price point. You can purchase for a low amount. You can buy a house in Baltimore City that's rehabbed for $115,000 in cash flow, somewhere from $6 to $8 or sometimes more $100 a month. Okay, if I put 5 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms in a house, I can rent it out to a Section 8 person from anywhere between $2,100 and $2,200 a month. So imagine I'm in that property for $115,000.
Section 8.
What about it?
So, there are a lot of misconceptions about Section 8.
A lot of true conceptions.
Right. Let's be honest. Objectively speaking, there could be, some, but I think, just doing your due diligence, right? Doing your due diligence and, assessing people and not, cutting costs by not doing background checks, right?
Yeah, no, that's a big deal. One of the young ladies we work with, Jamia, she's the one who does the placement.
Okay.
And Jamia thoroughly checks the background. She interviews them. Because you have to do that. And you can't, folks, let me tell you something. You can't rent a property out to anybody, Section 8 or otherwise, and not come check on the property for 6 months. Right. If you're doing that, shame on you. Beat you with a wet noodle.
I kind of did something like that before.
Yeah,
but
you have to check on it. You need to have at most 90-day checks where you are doing a sweep of that property and you're looking to make sure that it's intact. Right?
Right.
You have to do that. You have to require them to a certain extent to keep certain things clean. But a lot of times we're taking the carpets out of the properties because
yeah.
folks can mess up some carpet.
Right.
But no, I mean, Section 8 can be scary, but we fill the properties with 13 different programs. So we have programs from disaster relief, insurance, fire damage, things like that, flood damage. So we have people here from New Orleans right now who've been here forever, renting properties that, from Katrina.
Wow.
Because people relocate.
Yes, I did meet some Hurricane Katrina people. What was that? Were there like incentives given to?
Absolutely. I mean, but one of the best incentives is that those programs pay so much.
Right. That's what I mean.
If you're renting to a regular, renter that's applying for an apartment with you, you're probably going to get at least $500 over, you know, what you would typically get if you would just rent into one of them, and your money's guaranteed.
Right.
For at least a year.
Right. Yeah, and that's where, you know, one of the things I used to work at a place that had different veterans, you know, homeless veterans, and that's one of my, you know, missions to really connect to some of the different. Somebody just posted something about that, but to really tap into that, you know, there's a lot of homeless veterans that, you know.
There are a lot of people who need help.
Right.
And that's one of the things I love about this business is because you're helping the everyday person. You can be helping the single mom. You can be, I mean, years ago when we first came into Baltimore City and started to really go through here and do, you know, investing, I was really proud of the fact that I felt like we were changing the community block by block.
Right. Yes.
And there's so many of us up there doing that. We have many different friends who are up there, you know, developing Paris development.
Oh, yes.
They're up there doing development. Quantarell Lee and Tanya Harris. So you know, we're all trying to, you know, make our path, get up there and do things to try to beautify that place. Look, folks, this is the last This is the last frontier. Baltimore City is the last place right now on the East Coast that you're going to be able to go into that's accessible from New York and Washington, D.C., that you can go and buy and hold and build legacy for you and your family.
Wow. Y'all hear that? That's really interesting.
Don't be slow. Don't look up and say, ooh, they all bought up the property. No, you could have been there too.
Wow.
And we have loan programs. Let me say that too. We have loan programs that can help just about everybody. So we have various different loan programs. Credit scores as low as 625. If you don't have the best credit score, we still have strategies that we can use, creative investing and creative financing that we can use in order to be able to help you to get into those properties, to purchase those properties for the purpose of income.
Beautiful. Yeah. So there are options if you work
That's right.
and make money. If you rent,
Yeah.
you can own, right?
If you rent. Yeah, if you rent, you can own, and if you own, you can rent.
Right.
To someone else.
Yes, exactly. So, in a closing couple minutes, what else haven't we covered that you think that the listening audience should be aware of about real estate or entrepreneurship that you want to leave in these?
Well, I guess I would say that entrepreneurship is one of the most powerful things that you can endeavor to do. And when you couple entrepreneurship with real estate investing, I think you have an opportunity to alter the trajectory of your life and your family's legacy, as well as the lives of others.
Right.
The biggest thing, I meet people at RIAs, which are Real Estate Investment Association groups, on a regular basis who have been going to those RIAs for 10, 12, 13 years and have not done a single deal.
Wow.
So the last thing I would like to say is get off the fence. Make a decision. If you want to be involved, get involved and stop being afraid. Fear is the most crippling. I say fear is the nastiest four-letter word that is in existence because we allow it to limit us and we allow it to stop us. So don't be afraid. Get off the fence. Get out there. Make it happen. Get involved. And if you want to know how,
that's right.
You can reach out to me on Facebook, since we're on Facebook Live, Boundless Lola, and just send me an inquiry and we can have a conversation. I will do 20-minute free consultations to let folks know what's possible for them based on where they are. We say get in where you fit in. And that's what I'll leave you with.
All right, sounds good. So your website again and
BlackGirlInvestor.com.
And the turnkey events are...
And the turnkey DMV events are every fourth Wednesday at the Sheraton Town Center in Columbia, Maryland. And we'll start at 7 o'clock. It's a $20 charge, but every single week people leave and say, man, I would have paid $100 for that.
Really?
We gave great education.
Definitely going to come to the next one.
You texted me last time and said I should be there.
I know. So, yeah, no, and I really missed those meetings. It got me thinking broadly, about the world, actually, and the opportunities, what's going on in the world. And so now it's like, coming through and, grabbing different niches, looking at my background and experience, and I'm like, all right, what moves do you make, but you always got to think big, and that's a part of it. That certainly real estate has to be a part of, your wealth building analysis. And so So I'm looking forward to your next meeting, or one of them. So certainly check my schedule. So
we definitely want to see you there.
So yeah, that's going to be important, and I want to be like Mike.
I want to be like Mike too. That's the Mike I want to be like. Right, that Mike's a billion. Well, actually, the other Mike is about $1 billionaire too.
Which one?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But let me ask. Don Peebles. You know about Don Peebles?
Don Peebles.
Well, so Don Peebles, he has a book too, but he was in a film called 7 a.m. But he's out of D.C.
Mm-hmm.
But Peebles real estate company.
Okay.
But he's worth like $700 million according to some. He's in New York now. He was theorizing about running for mayor, but yeah, his book is called The Peebles Principles. But
not related to Dottie Peebles.
I don't believe
so.
I don't believe so. But he got his start in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
during the Marion Barry administration and time.
Okay.
But he built, he got, I don't know if he owns that Marriott still in D.C., but he shares in his book how how Marion Barry made some things happen for him, early. He was like 23 running a title company in D.C. and he got to learn some of the D.C. numbers. But he has offices in New York. But his company, they say it's one of the, if not the largest. I'm not gonna, because I told somebody it was the largest. I read it somewhere, but somebody
said no, it ain't.
Yeah, somebody said that they know some people. I'm like, all right, man. If you say so, man, I'm like, I ain't gonna debate. But apparently, I've seen some statistics worth $700 million in real estate. But yeah. So, and I've read his book, and that's kind of what pushed me into, at least familiarizing myself with politics on some levels, and because that's kind of how he leveraged some things, and Marion Barry opened up, tremendous opportunities for him. So that's one thing I kind of like. All right, you got to have your hands one place and watching different people, but. So I just want to mention that. But yeah, I want to say thank you for joining me here, sister. So we're looking forward to working with you, and just taking over the state of Maryland, for Black Girl Investors.
There you go.
With an S at the end of investors. Investor.
Yes, sir.
And Black Girls
Investor.
with an S.
No S's.
Okay.
BlackGirlInvestor.com. BlackGirlInvestor.com.
All right. No. All right. Sounds good. No, because I'm getting confused. The young lady that's in Brooklyn, in New York, that's looking for a room because she's in grad school, but she has Black Girls Vote.
Oh, okay.
So I just tagged you in that. So
right.
you can connect her into Brooklyn so she can have a place while she's in school.
Okay. I will do my best.
Yeah. So just want to thank my engineer brother. Does a great job here each and every week for me. And so I'll be back here. I think Wednesday I have a show for political. National political guys, so I'm gonna do that Wednesday morning. So thank you again, sis.
Thank you for having me.
So we are done. We are done here. So till next week, we out.
Bye bye.